Mr. or Mrs. Listener, we accept the fact that you're going to sacrifice a whole hour to listen to this podcast, but we think you are crazy. In the simplest terms, you see us as you want to see us. A Ninja Turtle, a Jedi, a redhead, a Mike. Sincerely yours, Redhead Family Therapy Guy, and a Mike.
Don't you forget about the bugger. There's a walk on by. You better listen to this thing. It's gonna be great. All right, we're back with another podcast. Woohoo! This is the Redhead Family Therapy Guy
And a Mike.
podcast, and I'm John.
And I'm Michael.
And we're so excited to be with you today. It's going to be a good one. I've got my shirt on.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it.
So let me read it for everyone.
Oh, okay, do it.
It says Cousin Eddie's, and it has a picture of an RV, well, a really trashed RV. And it says, RV maintenance, Merry Christmas, shitter was full. But there are
blanked
two
out.
asterisks on shitter, so it's not completely.
Not completely.
And I'm quoting, so I don't feel so bad using a little bit of foul language there. But
Well,
forgive us if you are.
If you've listened to, if you've watched this this movie.
So those who are watching can see that we have some Christmas decorations. We don't happen to have any Christmas vacation decorations, so we went with what we do have, which is Star Wars Christmas decorations.
Michael always has some Star Wars. And of course he has Star Wars Christmas figurines.
So next best thing.
That is correct.
The best thing.
That's right. So this movie, oh my gosh, when we were talking about Christmas movies, I was like, and I feel bad now that we picked Klaus and we're doing the Christmas Vacation. There's so many good Christmas movies to do, but I was like, we got to do this one. It's so hilarious.
Well, and we had an interview that came out, and we did Family Stone, right. and so we had
that one as well.
These 3 Christmas movies, but there are a lot of Christmas movies. It's almost like, man, I want to do, but we were going to save them for next Christmas.
Yeah, we've got
so
plenty of Christmases,
have themed releases to make it fun.
Absolutely. We've got that. We've got to keep that in mind.
And we'll do some
releases.
some holiday ones. I think that I already have seen some that I think will be excellent for Halloween also.
Oh, yeah.
There's all
Well,
types.
how can we not? We should done Gremlins or some of the horror Christmas.
Well,
or
Gremlins you could almost do for Christmas. But
right, that's what I'm saying. Or Die Hard.
I know. There's too many Christmas ones. But,
so you're getting a discussion on National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yes.
Which, come on, Chevy Chase in all of his glory.
And Cousin Eddie.
Dude, Quaid. Which Quaid is he? He's not Dennis Quaid.
He's Randy.
Randy Quaid.
Yes.
How do these guys come from the same gene pool?
From Independence Day. I don't remember what his name is, but I love his role in that one too.
Oh, he drives
He plays
an RV.
the goofy savior, right?
Well, he's also like a conspiracy.
Oh, he does.
And he
does drive the RV. That's right.
in that show as well. It's so funny.
He's the redeeming character, where he ends up saving the day, if I remember right. Doesn't he fly?
He plays a role.
Fly his ship up in there.
It's a communal effort to defeat the aliens.
It is.
So, all right. So I have a fun question. Right.
4th of July episode.
Oh
man.
Yeah. Doesn't Sandlot have a 4th of July scene in it or something?
It's definitely summer, so I would assume so. Oh man, that's one I need to watch again. I haven't watched it in a
Sandlot?
while. Yeah.
My kids love that one. We watched it a ton. All right, so was there any aspect of this show that you identified with from your own family experiences?
That's a good question.
Because that's one of the things I think that's great about this show, right? Is that it's the chaos of family, and the awkwardness and the humor, and
I think
the nonsense.
Growing up for me, I've always been probably a little bit more like my dad, where I really love more of an intimate setting with people, where I enjoy being with people, being around. I'm fine being around larger groups, but it drains me quicker. And so I really like getting to know people and more on a small group setting.
Right.
Well, my mom's side of the family is not that. They are
Let's have a party.
Yeah. And they're so loving and inviting. So, of course, more people come.
Right.
Because they're just inviting. And it's very warm. So it's not an issue of being, I don't want to be here. They're very warm and inviting, but there's so many people all the time. And so I feel like holidays with my mom's family, I felt like the sun looked when
the little
everyone, I can't remember what his character's name, and it's fine. But when all the family comes and you have the doorbell ring, like the dun dun,
ding 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 ding, and then it's all like
it's
the
like
foreshadowing,
and they're coming in and they're like pinching his face, and he's like,
I'll give you 25 cents if you rub my boils.
And I don't think I ever had any offers. I mean, my Aunt Wanda would love me to massage her feet, but here's the thing.
All of that.
I felt like that growing up, where I was just like, it was just like intense pressure. And it's still to this day, like when there's events, I don't think I've been to like a family event on that side of the family for years, because it's just too much. It's too much going on.
So we're getting into some trauma.
There is some trauma there. Not that any of them did anything that was traumatic to me.
Right.
It's just my personality is more like my dad. I'm comfortable in small group or one-on-one.
Oh, that's funny.
Right. And bigger groups just drain me to death. Yeah.
So I also identified with that scene, but just not that one character of the. I mean, I can relate to that too, some of that awkwardness, but just that, like, the grandparents coming in talking about recent like medical issues. Gossipy information going back and forth, awkward stares. You can tell somebody doesn't want to be there. People. I guess also too, like the being dressed up for like Christmas Eve dinner.
Yes. It's like so formal. I noticed that.
Yeah, the Randy Quaid character with his like fake turtleneck under his
cummerbund turtleneck thing that's black under a white sweater.
And there's just
a white turtleneck.
Well, and you have like the caricatures of like family members. You know what I mean? You've got like the family member that's really like senile and out of touch, and like putting cat food in the
aunt
Jell-O.
and uncle. And then you have the in-law that is so critical of you, and then you have the loving parent, right? The loving dad.
Just all of that kind of the montage of the greeting, definitely like because we always went I was primarily in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and my mom was from Long Island, so we primarily went to Long Island, and so like my dad's family was in Texas. We didn't ever do. There was like one Christmas after I was married that we went down there. Maybe there was another one. I feel like there might have been another one that I attended with my dad, maybe after my parents got divorced, that my brother and I went down there for Christmas. But yeah, so it was primarily my mom's family, and I didn't know, like we didn't know, but sometimes cousins would come, like my mom's cousins, because my grandpa was like one of 8 or something.
Wow.
And they were up there. So occasionally like a cousin family would come in, or my grandma's sister, I feel like, came once, or we went to her kids.
So were both sides of your family over East Coast then? Like
Texas was my dad's.
Texas. Oh, you said that.
Yeah, Texas was my dad's, and my mom's. So we were close to mom. We were never close to dad. And my dad always called himself the black sheep of the family. But I always had lost. I always wanted to be around my dad's family because they're so loving, so inviting, so Southern.
How often would you guys see them? Was it really not often?
No, I mean, like seriously, probably I'd count like how many times.
Probably 15, 20 hours from where you were at.
We drove down. My dad, brother, and I drove down like one summer. We did a road trip and spent some time down there.
Okay.
There was a couple of just random times that we went down there or were with that family.
So one other area that I had kind of a connection with. So I have a sister. It's just me and Deanna.
Your younger sister, right?
She's a younger, 3.5 years, if I remember right, younger than me. And for me, it was always so funny as a kid and as a young adult to see the brother and sister have to sleep in the same bed, and they're not like kids, they're like adolescent aged young adults. I have
nightmares about what he does in his bed when I'm not there, let alone when I'm sleeping next to him. And the mom's like, I don't know what to tell you, sweetie, it's Christmas, we all have to suffer.
That was always so.
I think that's the line I wrote it
and
down.
As a young kid, I remember we had Deanna and I shared a room for years because we had a small place and my mom did home daycare, so there wasn't room enough for us to have our own rooms. But once I got to a certain age, my mom was like, okay, you guys, it's just appropriate. You need your own room.
Right.
And I just always remember seeing that scene and just thinking, how awkward would it be to be like a 15 or 16-year-old and have my 12-year-old sister sleep in bed with me.
So weird. So this is the actual line I wrote down because I thought it was so hilarious. The mom says at that scene where they're like, she's like, the daughter's like skinning carrots or whatever. And she says, it's Christmas and we all are in misery.
Yes. Yeah, that is great. And I think that's like right before she lights a cigarette. Or maybe as
she
she's
tries
lighting the
to,
cigarette
and she's like,
something.
you're not smoking, are you? No, Mom.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, it's so funny. I love that. So, all right. So let's go with one, like what stands out to you. Well, all right, let's go with just, we'll save. So one of my questions is going to be what some of the funniest moments for you, but let's hold off on that one. What's just one of the parts that you just like about the movie that just you find fun or enjoyable? Not the funniest. So just one of the things about the movie that you just is just a fun, enjoyable part of the film.
So I guess maybe it's a two-part answer. So there's a nostalgic part that I find fun and enjoyable that I just love, and that is the music. So the music in this movie, the starting music, the ending music,
and the animations.
The animations just
are both fun. Yeah.
Anytime I hear that music, or even the Kaliki Maka is the way to say, like that, the music and the animation. There's certain things about those that just hits me to the core, and it takes me right back to being a kid. Cool. And so that for me is enjoyable, fun. Now, second to that, there's certain things that I just love. I love, and who doesn't? The Christmas lights, right? The decorating. Okay.
That's so great.
And anyone who knows me, growing up, we have always decorated for Christmas the weekend of Halloween. It's always been our tradition.
Oh, that's crazy.
We always decorate the house. We always get everything going. And so for me, that aspect of the movie was always extremely appealing because I'm like, hey, this dude is like hardcore, just like serious. My family is, right? And so that's always been appealing to me. And then Cousin Eddie, I've just always loved. So I think those are the fun parts. Not the funniest part of the movie to me, but the fun parts of the movie for me.
You might not want to kiss them. They haven't identified that fungus yet.
Yes,
everything that
and
that
then the
Eddie says.
The cross-eyed. I can't remember the
like
daughter's
she fell
name.
or something and hit her head. And no, she went
right?
cross-eyed, and then she got kicked in the head by a mule, and she went right back.
And I love
strange thing.
The mom that's so like critical. She's like, oh. What happened? Like, what does she say? She's like, she's not cross-eyed anymore. Like, it would be her character,
right? That would bring attention to the thing.
Attention
Unnecessary
to these abnormalities. Well, I guess the uncross-eyed is not so much an abnormality.
Right. Oh, that's hilarious.
What about you?
Oh, so I absolutely was gonna say the lights. You know that everything about it. For whatever reason, when he's like on the ladder, like struggling not to fall, and his hand is going back and forth, like
that's a complete Chevy Chase.
Yeah, it's just like a thing, right?
Mannerism,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
he's
that whole,
so good at that type of acting.
So that whole thing, and I love it when you see. I don't know if you've seen these like memes or pictures on Facebook where people have like done their Christmas decorations with somebody like hanging from a gutter and like a ladder falling down. Every time I see those, I'm like, yes. And if we lived on a busy street, I totally would. Our house is like not viewable, like not visible from the street. So if we had a visible street, I think I definitely would take a season and do it. Yeah, just because I think it would be hilarious. Or like have it like halfway done on the roof or whatever. But we just got a new roof, so I probably wouldn't do it this year. But yeah, so I love that. I'm with you on all of that, and also like everything that has to do with that. Like with
the whole decorating part.
Right, like how it comes back because he fails. He fails. Right, now that's my funny moment. So hold off on that one. No, that's okay. So I love
spoiler alert.
No, spoiler alert. But so I love that whole thing. I love the drama of that. I love that like he can't get it to work and he like goes postal on the Santa and the reindeer.
Yeah, that's a classic.
So funny. As far as like, you thought nostalgia, the part initial part that brings nostalgia and then it turns funny, but is when they go shopping, when they're going shopping. Like one when he's stuck in the attic and the family kind of like goes without him. And then also like when they show up at the mall, because that was Christmas
shopping when I was a kid was the mall, right? Like
Yeah.
we didn't have Amazon, we didn't have mail order anything. And so it was going to the mall. Like
Yeah.
that's where we went shopping.
Really going to like department stores. That's the like when he's in the department store, that's really nostalgic for me.
So just all of that, being at the mall, like splitting up. Like I remember going with my dad to buy some stuff for my mom and going with my mom to buy stuff for my dad or brother or whatever. So all of that, being at the mall and it being busy and like getting hot chocolate and getting some fast food or pizza, just like all of that was like one of like the decent memories, you know, that we did occasionally. It wasn't even like an every year thing, but it was just like there was a couple times I remember that happened, and so that whole thing was like nostalgic. Now that turns really inappropriate and funny. The whole scene with Jimmy Chase and the lingerie department store or whatever it is is really funny.
It's like a lingerie counter, which is really interesting because you talk about nostalgia. Department stores I feel like I remember them having that, a lot of different counters, and you would have salespeople at the counters. Now, when I feel like you go to a department store, if they have counters, they're usually just like
they're not manned,
cosmetic type counters, and that's if there's someone there.
Not even,
and so it's really, I think, nostalgic to me too, the whole mall.
Do you know what's funny? I still like I like going to the mall.
Oh, I love it.
My wife does, like every once in a while she will, but like I still like to go walk around at the mall.
Yep.
Like I like to just go and like, especially by us, there's the Opry Mall, and I love eating at Johnny Rockets because that takes me back. There was a Johnny Rockets, I might have started it, maybe not, but there was one in Philly, and this was back when Johnny Rockets would like sing. Like they would sing and dance.
Yeah.
Like if
do
you
they
put
not
in
sing and dance anymore?
No, they don't do it.
Oh, crazy.
No, they don't do it anymore.
I
Well, they
haven't been
don't
to
at the
one in a
Opry
while.
one. They don't at the Opry one. But so like, you know, going to the mall and walking around and getting something to eat and window shopping, like I still like it. I still like doing it.
I love it too. I feel like the hard thing for me is memories of the mall. Like the mall was a lot more unique than I feel like it is now.
Yeah, it's all
and
department
that's a little
store.
sad to me sometimes.
Yeah, there was definitely one-off stores like back in the 90s.
And now it's like all just chain stores and then department stores. And that's a little, I mean, you will occasionally get one-off, like, you know, unique stores. I don't know if I'm describing that well, but that's just how the mall was. It was all these different stores, and then you'd have the main stores.
Radio Shack. Come on, going to Radio Shack was
extremely like I would be.
I wanted
heaven.
everything.
Yeah.
I really wanted one of everything in Radio
me,
Shack.
There's two things that I think are or three things that are super nostalgic for me that we just don't have anymore: Toys R Us, video stores, and Radio Shack. As a kid, those three things
the hobby
were
store.
Awesome.
There was
there's still hobby stores.
Yeah, but they're not like 90s hobby stores.
You have to find.
They're around. They're around. I'm not saying they're not around, but not as prolific. Like when we were a kid, like every mall,
everywhere. Yeah,
every mall had a one-off hobby store that had like the remote control RC car section, had the D&D section,
and the train section, and then you'd have
the model section.
Yes, yeah, and then you'd usually have some other things in there too.
Yeah, just other
like
random
fun,
like coming out stuff,
toy things.
Yeah.
But
dude, Toys R Us.
Yeah, Toys R Us, video stores, and Radio Shack. I would love if I could go.
Okay,
to one of those
when I was a kid at Toys R Us, favorite section to go to was the racetrack section.
Oh man,
they'd have like, and that would be at the hobby store too. There would be like intense like racetrack. That's one of the most nostalgic toys
slot
for me.
Cars. Is that
the
what
one
you're
that
talking
like magnetically gets stuck? And they had like our Toys R Us had like extras, like little sets of wheels.
Yeah.
And like you could buy like one-off cars, you know, that would look like a race car, like a Corvette or a Porsche.
Yeah.
And you could decal them, and
you can still find hobby stores that have slot car tracks.
Okay, check this out.
Two
seasons ago or one season ago, at that Story 5 Below. Like the store 5 Below, they had these racetracks.
Did they have?
They had racetracks, small. Yeah, they were just circles. So I bought.
Did you buy a bunch?
I bought 5 of them, and so between the 5, we can make the most epic. My wife actually told me, because we're doing.
That's awesome.
We have our Christmas tree. And we have so many ornaments that we've gone to getting like the cheapest real tree we can find for our. We call it the tree room because it's the back room of our house that looks out over our property, which is all trees and forests, and so it's got all windows, and we call it the tree room. And so my wife said to me this year, she's like, I want you to set up the racetrack around the Christmas tree in there.
Almost like a train type.
Yeah,
deal,
like but it'll be race cars. Yeah, it'll be great. So you can and we bought enough of them that like Emmanuel and I guess it was last year, like we came up with a super huge, like epic. I almost kind of wish I would have bought like 4 or 5 more. Like I really wish I would have dropped $50 and just like bought. So I'm kind of hoping I should look online. I got the boxes. I should look online
or even check,
see if Amazon's got them. Yeah, check Five Below again.
I think for Toys R Us, for me, there was the 3 areas that I would always want to go to. Definitely the video game section.
Is that like when it was Nintendo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I loved. Especially, I remember going and seeing, the cardboard NES and then Super NES games, and just
I never owned Nintendo, but my brother owned Super NES.
Yeah,
all I played all the time was Zelda. I just played Zelda nonstop.
I love Zelda still. I love. Okay, so
yeah.
The video games section, and then that electronic section where you had like the slot cars and the race cars, like it was like RC slot car section. And then of course, if any of you know me, I love toys, so the action figure section. I love action figures.
Really? I wouldn't really. Well, I walked in here today and I was like, I really wonder what if we started crunching the numbers, what we would be at with, which is great.
I don't know. Awesome. I don't even know over the time how much.
It's great, especially like outside your living room. Your living room's got.
I wish I had. So kind of the thing I like to do is try to find for cheap my old toys.
That's cool. I really like that idea. I wish I could. The Transformers would be super fun to like stumble across. I'd love to find
some Transformers not long ago.
Some old Optimus Prime.
They're harder to find.
One of my most beloved birthday gifts ever, it would have been 4th grade, so I would have been 8. My dad splurged and he got me the Jet, which was huge.
Yeah.
Because it was the one from the movie, right? So it's the one that they get in.
Yeah.
Right? So he got me that. And they also got me, am I confused by COVID? Is it Omicron, the planet?
I can't.
I can't. Now that Omicron COVID virus is like a thing, I can't. I'm like, wait, was that what it was called? Because I think it was Omni. But he got me the planet.
Which is my favorite COVID name, by the way.
I can't. Let's not talk about it.
I love it.
Let's not talk about it.
Omicron.
I can't do it. I think it is Omicron. And so it was the planet. And so it transformed from the guy into the planet.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
And you don't know what happened to it?
Oh, dude, no.
It's just gone.
Yeah, that's gone. But like, and it was funny too because I remember my parents giving it to me, pulling it out of the box or whatever, and they're like, look, my dad like opened the instructions and he was like, and I was like. He's like sitting with me, and I totally just figured it out. He's like, you just figured it out. I'm like,
kids can do it.
I'm like
I'll find some Transformers at stores sometimes when I'm looking at like old antique places. If I have my girls with me, they'll figure it out for me.
Yeah.
It takes me like 20 minutes to figure
You're not a kid.
out.
You lost the kid brain.
You don't have a kid
brain
I just
anymore.
want to throw this out there real quick because this is a fun discussion. This is something that this movie does for me. Anytime I talk about it, it automatically transports me back to discussions about things that I miss from being a kid.
Yeah.
Particularly things that I would go to often around Christmas time. And so I love how our discussion kind of went off on this tangent.
Yeah.
But that's what it does. Every time I get into this movie, I talk about the funny things, and then all of a sudden I'm transported back because it's so nostalgic for me.
Well, I mean, it
especially
starts
around Christmas time.
Well, I think, and so the thing that's endearing. So one of the things I love about this movie too is that it's endearing, right? Like Chevy Chase's character is the dad that wants to bring the family together, right? He starts off with the expedition to get the Christmas tree.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which is so ridiculous. And I love the road rage aspect of that scene. But
I love the finger. So I think probably my favorite part, or the funniest part at the beginning is he's like, "Hey, look, kids," and then he's just flipping off the guys as they drive past.
So funny. So yeah, that whole idea of the expedition to get the Christmas tree. We've done seasons where the kids in the family all go in. We always go to Lowe's to get our big tree, and then we'll get like the secondary tree. We've only done the last couple of years, like a Tractor Supply for like $20 or something. but yeah, that notion. I think my brother goes with his kids because he's up in Wisconsin. I think they go and like cut it down, and so so that whole notion. But the thing that's great about that, and the thing that's consistent and heartwarming and really meaningful to me in this silly story, is that, you know, he's this lower white collar guy, or maybe he's this chemist for this food company or whatever. And so maybe he's this upper white collar guy, but you know, he's this guy that just like, he wants to bring his family together. He wants Christmas to be important. He wants to be celebrated. And I love that he has these moments where he gets into like preachy dad mode. You know what I mean? Like, all right, kids, you know, like this is, and he gives like his speech before he's going to fail at lighting the house up, you know? And like, it's just like, that's kind of a typical like American middle class like dad, you know what I mean, that's trying to be a family man or whatever.
He has this kind of, I don't know, he's got this kind of, I don't know,
affable, bumbling,
and he's kind of like I don't know what the right word is, conceited or jerky sometimes.
I think just but detached, like unaware.
But he's got this heart of gold. I mean, his whole bonus, he wants to get a pool
for his family.
And he's like, I'm going to fly you in and all this stuff. And
well, he wants to be the hero, right? Like, because that was, like, come on, seriously, the gold standard in the 80s and 90s was the families that had a pool.
Yeah.
I mean, we never had one.
Well,
and I only had one or two. I only had one or two families that, like, friends that had pools, but it was like, dude, you have a pool? Come on. Seriously, I mean, because we were
awesome.
Yeah, it's like awesome. You know, I only had a couple. Like, I didn't have like a best friend. Like, all my friends were like poor. Like,
so I have to talk about this, and this I think is common in movies. Maybe, I don't know, maybe more in that time period than now. I'm not sure, but as a kid, I was always titillated.
by the Chevy Chase fantasy.
Yes, by the well, starting with the lingerie scene,
dude, the Freudian slips, he kills it.
Then the grandpa like looking up at the poster on the wall.
I totally had girly post, not like Playboy, but like
I didn't
clothed. I had clothed. Like I had clothed females on my. I had Sandra Bullock. I had I had clothed females on my wall.
As I've grown older, those scenes, like I think I was talking to you about this. I was like, why are all the married men in this movie portrayed as being like really taken with other females? And
typical American middle class guy that like wants
as
something.
I've gotten older, it's like, oh, that seems kind of like off-putting. Like it portrays this image of like maybe that's like a good thing or a normal thing. I'm just thinking I don't think, like that.
I mean,
like,
let's be honest, it's a normal thing. You know, I'm not saying it's good or appropriate or.
I would say this: I don't fantasize about like I don't. As a married man, I don't ever remember having like a fantasy like he has.
Yeah, right.
Or I would, maybe I'm abnormal, but if I went to a lingerie counter and was looking for lingerie, I would feel uncomfortable with another woman helping me find lingerie for my wife.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be weird.
That's not how that's portrayed. And that's how Chevy Chase is in all the vacation vacation movies.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not sure if that's but anyway, I don't know. I'm not saying there's like purposely something that maybe there is. I don't know. I don't read into things too much, but that for me as I've gotten older is more not titillating to me anymore, more of just awkward to me. And it's like, why are men portrayed in that way? And maybe that is the norm, but I hope not.
I think, well, I mean, you know, we're in a deeply committed Christian culture.
That's true. I mean?
And so I think for the average kind of middle class,
I hope not.
I think it is.
Not. And I would love comments. So I know sometimes we'll ask, but I would love perspective on this from
in our
any of our
I think in
audience.
our woke culture that's not going to go well back because it's going to be seen as, you know, I think in the 80s, 90s movies, it was seen as kind of funny. And I think now it's with the wokeness that we're dealing with.
That's what I wonder.
Or we're in the middle of.
Is it funny because it's 80s, 90s? Or was it funny to me because I was a kid and not in a relationship?
I think just being a kid.
Where now I'm in a relationship and it's not so much funny to me as kind of gross to me.
Right,
like that's how
awkward.
it is for me. It's like that's kind of gross.
No,
like why are all these men fascinated?
I totally see it as awkward.
Yeah.
Because it's not. Yeah, I don't.
But
I
as
don't
a kid, I was
identify
just
with
like titillated.
Yeah.
I keep saying that word because it's fun to say. But I was just
you
like,
want a
Freudian
slip it? Yeah. No, it's a funny thing.
That is a good part, right? Where Chevy Chase, when he's at the lingerie, he
That's
just
what they-
keeps doing all these Freudian.
That's so fantastic.
It's like it's nippy out. Or, and then,
Nipply.
Yeah,
It's a
nipply.
That's hilarious. All of that is really funny.
But anyways, I was curious about your thoughts on that.
Yeah,
And
I think
wanted
it's
to bring it
I
up.
think it's a '90s, '80s like commentary
It's pretty
on.
common, right? I
Yeah.
remember
well,
that
most
a lot.
of the movies like have that flavor. You know, the '80s, like the PG movies that now would never,
Yeah.
fly as a PG movie.
16 Candles.
Is that PG? Is that pre PG-13?
I don't know if they changed the rating, but yeah, it was pre PG-13. It was
'Cause-
PG.
'cause
It
Red
has
Dawn-
full on nudity in
Because
it.
Red Dawn was the first PG-13 movie ever. Did you know that?
And that's what late
With
80s.
Patrick Swayze.
Yeah,
that was
Patrick Swayze.
mid to late '80s, like '86, something like that. Like, because I remember that because I loved that movie as a
Pretty
kid.
no, 16 Candles is what we're talking. 16
Yeah.
Candles I swear was PG. And I don't know if they've re-rated it R, but it has cursing and it has full nudity.
Yeah,
It has
PG.
like the gambit. I remember as a kid watching it all the time, and then as an adult, I didn't watch it for years. And then Heather and I bought it because we're like, oh, we
It's a
love
great
this movie.
show.
And we're watching
Oh, crap.
it, and we're like horrified. We're like, I watched this as a kid all the
movies.
time.
All the movies
And
I watched.
it's not a PG movie, and it's not a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
It should be an R.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
But that's my biased opinion.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So one of the things, so we were talking about the endearing qualities of Griswold and his hopes
Yes.
and desires for his family to have these just nice, big family, people get along, all that kind of stuff. Where he's the hero with the lights, he's the hero with the pool, all
And
of
even
that
with
stuff.
his cousin, Eddie, or I guess it's his
helping out with the
cousin-in-law,
family.
Eddie, right?
Yeah.
Where he wants to get presents for the kids and have them have a nice
Clark,
Christmas.
buy something for yourself too.
Yeah.
I also love that he's just piling on the dog food to
Yeah,
the
he's
car.
buying like 200 pounds worth of dry dog food.
It's great. So we've got this endearing quality, but what's really interesting is the comparison commentary of the couple with no children, clearly career focused, no Christmas lights, no
yeah.
Christmas tree, and I love the comparison. And they're kind of like seen as the villain, and the scenes between those, like the first scene is the chainsaw, like there he is,
Yes.
like Chainsaw Massacre.
He's like, bend over. And the guy neighbor is like, how dare you say that to me?
like-
And he's like, I wasn't talking to you.
So just the mockery of them, and then just the interesting comparison of a family man and like a pre-emerging like yuppie couple that is
Yeah.
about their foo-fooey. Like even like I don't know if you notice like the decor in their house is like
Oh,
trying.
it's so modern.
It's trying. Well, it's like
Yeah.
trying to be modern, right? And
Yeah.
like even like the railing for the stairs and the stairs are like the individual planks. You know what I mean? It's like it wasn't even like.
Well, even their
accomplished.
stereo system.
Right, yeah, that which is so this is my funny moment. I'll just bust into so by far, especially as a kid, when the icicle like shoots out of the gutter into the house and like explodes, like I remember dying as a kid at that scene. And then of course when Todd and Margot come home and they're like they don't understand what's happened because there's no remnants of
Yes.
anything because the ice is melted but the floor is wet.
I
just think it's I just loved
I think
every
for
bit of
me,
that.
like I love that scene, and I think for me, maybe funnier than that with them is when they're about to get like
they're
get
being
it
all
on,
romantic.
and the lights come on, and it's like blinding, and they're tripping all over. That
because
for
the
me,
lights
I
are
think,
going
was
on and off,
really
and
funny.
so it's like
Yeah.
the contrast of being able to see and not being able to see.
And then I love that whole scene. So they're like blinded and they're like trying, they're trying to get it on or whatever, and they're stumbling all over, and then they show the city. And like pockets of the city are
or like
the power's
going
down.
They've got to go to
and
the
they got
nuclear, go nuclear. Yeah, like all of that's great.
But I
wait,
love
what
that- yeah,
happens?
their
What
parts
happens?
are
And
great.
so all that falls apart. So Margot gets all upset, and then she like goes out to confront them or something, and
they fall down the stairs, right? Or he falls down the stairs.
No, but then she goes because she's all like, "Are you going to do something?" And then she's like, "No." And then she's like, "Well, then I will." And then what happens to her? Does she get
I don't
attacked by the dog?
remember.
Does the door open when that's the squirrel?
Oh,
when
the squirrel. That's right.
She gets attacked by the rabid squirrel, and then like
I forgot about that.
and then
Yep.
she go back and he's like looking at a
And
magazine
she's all, like,
on the couch.
disheveled.
And then she like punches him or whatever. It's like so funny. So he's like the emasculated male, yuppie. I love that. Just the comparison.
Even when Chevy's like bend over, he doesn't say anything
Yeah,
to defend
he's-
his wife. He just
hilarious.
looks at her like,
Am I supposed to do something?
"Sucks
here?
for you."
Like what a wonderful kind of foreshadowing of where we've ended up with incapable beta males that are
Yes.
foo
this
fooey.
is-
There's like macho-ness was gone. They were already already had a commentary on machoism being gone in America or whatever. So I
what
love
he was
all
he
of that.
Ted?
Ted
Ted.
and Margot.
Yeah.
Why is the carpet wet, Ted?
I don't know, Margot.
So funny.
And the way they say it,
All of
like
it,
is
the delivery, the like almost big shoulders because it's post 80s.
And we
just
were
all
talking about this last night, I think, about Elaine from Seinfeld, right? And we're
yeah.
like, oh, is this pre-Seinfeld or during Seinfeld?
What did we discover?
So we looked it up,
Your your cousin was.
Christmas Vacation. Yes, she's
Was-
our consultant on pop
Culture.
Pop culture, Heidi. She was looking up and she found out that Christmas Vacation released in 89,
Right.
the same year that Seinfeld started, which means Christmas Vacation was
Would've
probably
been filmed.
filmed a year or two
Yeah.
prior to Seinfeld
Yeah.
starting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was probably she had that role and then was
Right.
probably finding out about Seinfeld role and then jumped right into that.
Right.
And then she's awesome.
Oh,
right?
gosh, she's
I mean,
great.
she plays
She's
her
so
role
hilarious.
so well.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Her dancing. Like I wasn't a Seinfeld person. Like I wasn't a committed Seinfeld person. I liked it, and I'd watch it from time to time. But I
Sure.
wasn't like, what time is it going to be on? I'm going to be watching. But the thing that I always remember about her is her
her, like thumbs up, right?
well,
Like,
and
she
just
kicks them
offbeat.
out
It's just like the offbeat dancing. Like that was just the most fun thing.
kicks her legs out, if I remember right. And
She's like convulsing, like she's a possessed soul.
they have like the casting for this is great, right? I mean, well, Chevy Chase, I've always enjoyed Chevy Chase movies, and just his acting style, or I guess it's comedic.
and
style.
him in what is the college TV show? Have you watched that one? It's done running now. but-
Community. Yeah,
Oh
I
my
was
gosh, he
sad
was so
when
good.
because it gets to a point where he's not on the show anymore,
Yeah, they
and it was
replaced him.
different for me.
Yeah, that's kind of when we stopped.
But I've heard
that's when I
Chevy
stopped
Chase is kind of
watching.
hard to work with, maybe, or something. I can't remember all the details with that, but I think he's maybe just harder to work with, and that maybe after so many seasons just got old for everyone.
Maybe, yeah.
But I don't care if he's hard to work with or not.
He's hilarious.
Makes it great.
Oh my
Like,
gosh,
he's
yeah.
Chevy
being the
Chase.
politically incorrect like boomer in Community is absolutely hilarious.
Well, and he's exaggerating, but he's pretty spot on. For
absolutely.
When I think about
My dad?
yeah.
yeah, exactly. If
And
my
not
dad,
all people that age.
if
of
my
course,
dad
by
would have
no
tried to
means,
go back
but yeah,
to community college,
I know
that's what
plenty.
it would have looked
Yeah.
like. Yeah, 100%, man.
So let's. I want to know. And you kind of alluded to this, and maybe you've already said you're the funniest part, or if you have maybe a couple funniest parts.
Oh, there
to
was
the
definitely. Well, definitely, yeah. The icicle shooting out of the gutter into to the neighbor's house is by far like the pinnacle. But then the other funny part that we have not commented on that I absolutely would lose it over is a combination of the senile great aunt and uncle or aunt and uncle, and then the cat getting fried.
Yeah.
Like the cat getting fried. I just.
There's like this outline,
Yeah, it's just
with
great.
like the fur, right,
plugs it
or whatever.
Like the
all
cat
around
pulls
the
it
floor.
out of the wall because they're chewing on it, and then like he plugs it, and then like just everything to do with that. Like then they take the chair out, and Quaid's character is like, "Hey, you care if I try to salvage this?" It's like. just like
as they're walking it out to the
yeah,
front,
it's like
and
it's smoke.
charred.
It's charred.
And of course, Randy cousin Eddie,
Cousin
Eddie,
He's
is
like, "How much did this put you back?"
Yeah. And he wants this charred seat, and he doesn't talk about reupholstering it. What does he say? He's like, I'll clean it or something.
I'll clean it up, or I'll take a crack at making it.
And then you look at his RV, and you're like, well, okay, yeah, that's probably pretty nice.
I don't even know if you could get it in the door of the RV, but
that's a good point. How would you get it in?
So everything that has to do with the cat. Well, and that dinner scene, actually, when we watched it last night, it like horrified me. Just like they're chewing on the crusty bones of the turkey, and then it's
all dry,
the cat long. Food and the thing, and just all of it is just like
that was always horrendous. Funny to me in a rough scene, the dinner scene, especially because it's kind of gross, because then you have the dog like making these nasty sounds while there's like an earthquake going on with the table. I don't know what the dog was doing, but
maybe yeah.
I think for me, sorry, were you going to say another one?
Oh, I was going to just comment on how it's actually hard for me to relate that, because my memory about food for Christmas was always that
delicious.
It was delicious. Yes. I don't remember there being somebody that wasn't a contributing good cook for our family dinners. Like, they were always like, I just remember being excited about the food.
That's what I remember,
because it was like, even like the carrots, like my grandma put like honey on the carrots, and they were good. It was like, I'm eating carrots and they're amazing. And I don't ever want to eat carrots. I just remember like everything just tasted.
This is delicious.
It's tasting so good. I can't, and I'm so horrified by the fact that it took me so many years to try my dad's candied yams. So my mom hated it, but my dad would do a small portion of candied yams baked with marshmallows, and that's a staple at ours. Our kids love it, but it took me like, I don't think I was like 13 or 14, and I remember finally trying it and being like, I'm an idiot.
It's such a kid thing too. My girls will not try certain things that I know they would like.
It's so silly.
And then they'll try it a tiny bit and they're like, ugh. And then you do the comment. You're like, well, you didn't try enough to actually taste it. The classic comment. And they're like, no, I tasted it. It was nasty. And you're just sitting there like, it's full of sugar.
It's literally marshmallows that are toasted over yams, which are sugary in taste.
It's such a kid thing, though, right?
So yeah. Sorry. So yeah.
No. That's
change
good.
Gears too.
So I would have to say, you have this suburban Chicago house that's in a nice neighborhood, right? It's not probably the nicest. I mean, I lived in Chicago.
No, the boss
Chicago
lives in the nicest.
Well, yeah, he lives in probably upper, like north part of Chicago, or maybe just west, but probably north part. So I lived in Chicago. Well, I lived in Chicagoland, like the far west suburbs, for 6 years for work, and there are some really nice areas, but it's not a cheap place to live. And so, that neighborhood, it's a nice neighborhood. And so you have this nice house in this nice neighborhood. And Chevy Chase is, he's like a pretty normal, but then his neighbors represent kind of that, really what you might see in a neighborhood like that, as far as like income. They have nice stuff, right? They have expensive stuff, and I think Chevy Chase too, but he has kids, right? So there's money going out, and so he kind of represents this, maybe like the neighbor that kind of does off the wall things, right?
Yeah,
and so he's already probably, his neighbors probably look at him like, oh man, it's that neighbor. And so this sets up my favorite, or my funniest part. Then you introduce Cousin Eddie, which for this neighborhood and these people is probably not even comprehensible.
Right. They don't even know that he exists. They don't even know that still exists in America.
Exactly. And the wife, she's like, oh, he hasn't worked he hasn't 7 years. And
he's holding out for management.
So you set the scene, right? You have this nice neighborhood in Chicago, or he's probably in a suburb of Chicago, but probably west suburb, but nice area. And you already have this neighbor. And then you have Cousin Eddie in his underwear,
the bathrobe,
with a rope. It's like a woman's. It's way too small.
Gross. great.
And
Reminds
he's
us of my Harry Potter
draining
days.
his suit, like his waste. He's draining his poop and pee
Blackwater.
into the sewage in front of the house, drinking a beer.
At like 9 o'clock in the morning.
And someone comes by and he's like, shitter's full.
So great. So, just
That for
literally.
me, just because you set the scene and
yeah.
you set like
Yeah.
already, that for me has always been
Right.
my favorite scene
Sure,
in the
sure.
movie, just because of the compare contrast,
Yeah.
and just the complete genuineness of Cousin Eddie. This is normal.
Yeah. What's the problem?
There's nothing wrong.
Gotta get rid of
he
it.
doesn't even. Yeah, he's just like don't. It's,
No
it's
shame.
almost like he's saying it like as in they would do it too.
Yeah. If
like
you have an
everyone.
RV, yeah, this is how you
everyone
got-
does this.
What else are you supposed to do? RV's full. Come on, people. Don't bother.
I love it. I love it. Cousin Eddie for me. So Chevy Chase is always great.
Oh,
but Randy Quaid in this movie just adds
His
the
deliveries.
perfect- yeah.
Like the conversation, like Christmas Eve, is they're just like drinking out of their moose cups.
And it's not the same for me in any of the other vacation movies where they're in it together. So Vegas Vacation, Randy Quaid's in it. And
I think I remember seeing, I think I saw European. I don't know if I've seen
I don't
them
know
all.
if Randy Quaid's in European Vacation. I can't remember. I have seen that.
Yeah.
But for me, the way that both of them are in Christmas Vacation is the best. I feel like that Randy Quaid in Christmas Vacation for me, I just love it.
Yeah. He definitely, he hit it out of the park with that one. Which is why it's a great movie.
It is a great movie.
Got the neighbors. You got Randy. You got senile aunt and uncle. Betty. I don't know if that's her name in the movie, but
I don't remember
you know.
her name either.
But just all of it. Yeah. It's such a great classic Christmas show.
Well, and I think that you get the, like you were saying, the different archetypes which you can connect and relate to. And then you have the main character going through this really gentle, sincere desire to, one, feel like he's a good dad. Like I think we all struggle with that, right? Feeling like we're a good spouse, a good sibling, a good child, a good parent, right? Whatever our role is in life, feeling like we're enough and seeking recognition for that.
Well, and being willing to overextend.
Yeah,
Like put faith in, the hope of a bonus. I have a question for you. If we had a crazy cousin, do you think if he kidnapped our boss that we could get them to change their mind and we would have a bonus for Christmas?
No. We would. There's
I don't think that would
no
work
one
for
with
us.
enough power in our organization that we could kidnap.
That's true.
Even if we kidnapped the commissioner or president, whatever you want to call it, the head person in our direct division, we could go beyond that
And
to
they
our
still couldn't.
department,
And they
which
still
covers
couldn't.
multiple divisions,
And
and
still
still couldn't. We'd have to go to the top,
Of
and that
the-
probably
it
wouldn't
wouldn't
work
go over
very
well.
well. Yeah, and even then, I think that one might be bringing damnation upon our
I think we would.
ourselves.
Just a thought.
I love how, and I don't know who did this movie, directed it or whatever, and it doesn't matter. But I love how they took this kind of this really characterization of us. What I feel like each of us in this life desires, which is recognition and understanding of efforts that we've put in, right? Just to be recognized as trying. And love how they take kind of this vulnerable
And just make fun of it.
and make it funny.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
Like in a
if
very
we all
good-natured way.
I don't know if we all recognize that, right?
Yeah.
That really at the core of this movie, I think, is vulnerability and a desire to connect and feel accepted. And I think there's a lot of meaning to that. Now it's grandiose, it's funny, and it makes me laugh a ton.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of what makes it timeless, is that any one person can relate to Clark and what he desires underneath the funniness, underneath the, one of the other funny scenes is after the boss walks by and then he's like, kiss my A, kiss his A.
You kiss his A.
Yeah.
And then the last one, Happy Hanukkah.
It's just funny things
so
like that.
funny.
But you can relate to
Yeah.
this idea of, Clark just wants to be recognized.
Do you know what's fantastic? I watched this with a couple of my kids, and my daughter Sarah, who's 16. And surprisingly, my kids are not, like, my kids haven't had, maybe my one daughter, Amaria, but my other kids don't see me as like the dorky dad that they don't want to be around their kids. For whatever reason, they see me as a cool dad. You know what I mean? Partly because a bunch of their friends think it's awesome that I have a podcast. And they like wear our t-shirts and like have our stickers on their water bottles and stuff. But so it's like I don't have that. But it was funny, her watching it, she was horrified by
the dad.
Like everything he does, she's like cringeworthy. Like she's like, oh my gosh, that's so embarrassing.
But she doesn't see it with dad.
She doesn't see it with me, which I guess that's good that I don't embarrass my kids. I try to I threaten them that I will, but they know I would never do that. So I think it's also too because in our community I have some street cred, I suppose, but because my kids will always say, Dad, everybody knows. Yeah, they're like in our community, just the way we are and the roles that we have in our community, everybody kind of knows us. And so, and so my kids are always
in our church community.
Yeah,
right. So it's a small community.
Yeah. So, but like between the places that we worship and a lot of our life is in our church community, and so because of the role I have in my career, I know a lot of people, and so everybody always is like, oh, you're John's dad or your brother Morgan's dad or son or daughter or whatever. And so anyway, but it was really funny to me that had that visceral response, like putting up the lights. She was like, it's so embarrassing, like the flirting with the things. Like she's like, oh my gosh, it's awful, just like all these things. she was having a visceral response, like watching during the whole movie.
Well, the daughter even has some of those responses in the movie.
Right? She's all like, I hope you won't drive by with us standing out here. So it's great. Yeah, it hits that button. So
yeah, I love it, and it's one that I have watched so many times. I almost didn't watch it again before we did this because I've seen it so many times. And then last night, so John came down to our Memphis location,
the Memphis office,
and last night we had just a little extra time, and I was like, oh well, let's watch it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did because I love it, but I almost didn't watch it. And that's, I think, what is so cool about Christmas Vacation is it's just, and other movies that we've talked about, these are movies that are timeless that you can just watch.
Is there a movie that you 100% watch every year?
Like a Christmas movie?
Yeah.
There are a few Christmas movies. So definitely Christmas Vacation is one. Santa Claus is one. I usually watch all three of the Santa Claus movies.
Oh, wow.
And Elf, since Elf has been out, which I was just looking the other day, and Elf's been out for like almost 20 years now, which blows my mind.
Yeah.
Elf is one. I have never been, and this might surprise people because I feel like everyone loves this movie, but I've never.
Yeah, you're going to hurt my feeling right now.
Yeah,
I've
watched
seen
that a bunch of times, but it's not one that I.
We watched that movie Christmas Eve. Every single Christmas Eve of my kids' lives, we watched that. Like we're all in our pajamas because we always get pajamas. We'll have the fire on, or we'll have all the lights off, and we watch A Christmas Story. And then there's a British cartoon, which is from my wife's childhood, called The Snowman.
Yeah,
which is
we watched that together.
It's it's like 10 minutes or 12 minutes, and it's endearing, but also kind of sad.
Yeah,
so it leaves you kind of longing. Yeah, for Christmas magic, and so we watch Christmas Story. We watch that, and then the kids go to bed, and the real work begins for my wife and I because we put out all the Christmas.
For you kids listening, Santa also comes after John and his wife have done the work.
That's right.
probably haven't seen Christmas Story in
it's so
15 years. So I probably should watch it again.
It takes me back because I think it takes me back to because going to my grandparents' house, like their era of Christmas. So that kind of American classic 50s Christmas that we think of when we think of a traditional Christmas that our culture, American culture, is kind of timelessly cast in, which maybe that's evolved or we've lost that. But my grandparents' Christmas felt like the Christmas Story setting. And so I think that pulls me back, even though I didn't live in that childhood. And there are things about that movie that strike, but we don't, I mean,
there's things about that movie that I definitely remember because I've seen it enough times. But I remember enough about that movie to know that regardless of like me watching it every year or not, or it being a Christmas staple really is not for me. Yeah. It's one we need to do.
Oh, sure.
Right. Because there's a lot in that movie.
Absolutely need
to talk about.
Okay, we got to stop because I want to go down the rabbit hole of talking about.
I will say those are my main ones.
Elf is a staple for us. I'm trying to think.
I feel like I'm probably missing one or two or a few also. I love Christmas. So we watch, like Heather gets the Friendly app every Christmas and we watch Hallmark Christmas movies. We watch Freeform. We watch, what's the other, Pixel.
I know I'm missing some other ones because we've got a stack. Definitely one that's always for sure is the train one, the
Polar Express. Yeah, we watch that one sometimes. I don't watch it every year.
I love the message of that movie. I
know there's others that we're missing. The Christmas Chronicle ones I've enjoyed. Those are newer on Netflix. They're with Kurt Russell plays Santa in that. But anyways, cool. I could go off and on. But yeah, there's a bunch. I love Christmas though. Yeah. I mean, celebrating the Savior's birth for me is always just.
Do you guys do a big Christmas Eve meal or Christmas Day, or do you do a big meal around Christmas?
Man, I'm trying to remember. I think.
Oh no, it's like your family tradition.
Like growing up.
No, now I'm asking.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what we do now. I don't know. I think Heather usually makes something Christmas morning, like cinnamon rolls or orange rolls or something. This probably sounds horrible. Like I should remember this. We've had like 18 or 19 Christmases together.
I would think so.
But I think we usually, so those who know me know I'm not a huge meat person. And so kind of traditional like Thanksgiving dishes and Christmas dishes are more of I'm not really interested in. And so sometimes we'll do like ham. Sometimes we'll do like corned beef. I like, so like a corned beef we might do. But if we do Christmas dinner or even like Thanksgiving, it's gonna like the side dishes are more my jam. Like nice. I love sweet potatoes, I love yams, I love stuffing, I love potatoes, I love green beans.
My stuffing is
like all that.
So for us, it's funny because Christmas dinner growing up was the big meal, and we followed that. And then, but also for Nicola, she's a Brit. Their big tradition is Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas, is their big. So what we evolved in somewhere really early on, and it was the most blessed thing we ever did, is we switched to Christmas Eve is our big Christmas meal. And then Christmas Day is like sometimes we'll do like a breakfast and we'll make some sausage and bacon and stuff, but it's just like eat junky food, eat your treats.
That's what we do.
Glutton yourself, eat whatever you want. We don't care. It's Christmas. And then we do a big Boxing Day meal, which is the day after. We still carry that. So we have two, that because that's such a British thing.
That would be similar to us. If we do something, it's going to be Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
And then Christmas Day, we don't like leftovers or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is Boxing Day? I know that Canada celebrates it too, if I remember.
So I'm not a Brit, but what I'm remembering is that like so the wealthy class of people would essentially box up their excess and deliver it to the common folks of the UK. Oh. So they box it up and they, go and help and give to the less fortunate.
How cool.
Their excess.
So you celebrate that by
having a big meal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's like it's like a big meal day.
So you don't go like give your excess to people?
No.
Oh,
No, just nope, just nope. No, just to have a big meal and have. I think it's like just a getting together family day, So
that's awesome.
yeah, because usually my mother-in-law is for most of our. Ever since we've been back out east, most of our Christmases she's been has stayed with us or come with us on Christmas. She's not coming this year, but usually that's been the jam.
That's cool. And she's the one that lives just on in eastern Tennessee.
Yeah, she lives
Nicola's mom.
She lives in the Knoxville area, and her Nicola's brother also lives out there as well.
That's cool.
He's got 4 kids.
Well, I'm excited. Christmas is my favorite.
Yeah, we're treeing it up. We're going to get the trees today, and we're going to do all of our setting up tomorrow.
We don't do real trees.
We do. We like the smell.
My allergies really, and some people have told me there's something you can do to help with that. But also, we put our tree up Halloween weekend.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah,
that's why we do it the first week of December. Because with a real tree, and usually by Christmas it's
ready to go.
It's struggling.
Yeah.
We've had 1 or 2 years where it's like. I remember there was like 1 year it was like Christmas Eve it was good, and like Christmas morning it was like it's like not good. So it's always that's a hard one.
It made it as long as it needed to.
I was trying to see it to the finish line.
I just want to say. Merry Christmas, John,
Christmas.
And everyone listening, and also just happy whatever
happy
you
holidays.
Celebrate. Yeah,
Happy holiday.
I love it. I love it when people come up to me and maybe they say Happy Hanukkah or Kwanzaa, whatever it might be. I just love it. I love the season when people are more
engaged,
open,
nice,
willing
happy.
to say hi. Yeah, I mean, shopping, maybe you don't experience that so much with people. They get a little anxious, right? Because we're trying to get stuff done. But I love the season. So happy whatever holiday you celebrate. But John, Merry Christmas. Those listening,
brother.
Merry Christmas.
Appreciate you.
It's been fun.
All right, good times. Thanks for listening.
Adios, amigos.
All right, take care. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.